Hey guys, what's up? Tamara here. Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. First and foremost, I want to tell you it's been an amazing year. Thank you so much for those that have subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate you. I love the feedback I've been getting, the conversation on some of the videos, and it's just been amazing. So I want to thank you for that. I appreciate it. In this video, I will be sharing with you my best and worst books of 2014. These are all books that I've read in the last year. Not all of them were published this year, but some were, some weren't. So these books are in no particular order. I've just lumped them by best and worst. So yeah, I could not put them in order because I loved all of these equally for different reasons. Starting off, Up from the Grave, which is the 7th book in the Huntress series by Jeanine Frost. I just love this book. It was the 7th and final book. Miss Frost just wrapped this up with a happy little bow for us, you know, the fans of the Huntress series. This was a book for the fans, and I really loved it. I recommend this series for any and everyone who loves the vampires. This is an adult read, so for younger readers, I wouldn't recommend it. Up next is Moon Call, which is the first book in the Mercy Thompson series by Patricia Briggs. I listed the first book here because this is the book that pulled me out of my cat and bone stupor and got me into Mercy and Adam. And you know what? This is the first book, and I've read all of the published books up to date since then, when I read this earlier this year, and I just love this series equally as the other series. It's just amazing. These are about vampires and shapeshifters and coyotes and all those type of things. Pretty much paranormal. They're vampires, all kind of things. If you like that, I recommend this. Again, it's an adult series, so I would not recommend it for young readers. Also was In a Handful of Dust, which is the second book in the Not a Drop to Drink world by Mindy McGinnis. This is a young adult dystopia title, and I really enjoyed it. Even more than the first book, Not a Drop to Drink. It was just really great to catch up with these characters a decade after the first book, and it just worked. I mean, the plot, the pacing, the character development, it was just spot on all across the board. I wish the author would make another book in this world, but I doubt that she will. So, you know, you guys definitely check out this read. I also had to include Immortal, which is the 6th and final book in the Fallen Angel series by J.R. Ward. I just really enjoyed this series. It was a nice treat. At first I wasn't sure how I would like it, putting it up against the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. It was a little bit different, but as I read on, I really started to care about Jim and Adrian and Eddie and all the other characters thrown into this novel. This was like one of the baddest villains I ever read. Like, this series has a really awful villain. And again, this one is for adults as well. So I would definitely steer clear if you're a young adult and you're happy in your young adult world. This is like a whole another level of darkness. But it was a fun read, and I actually loved how at the end it ties in a little bit to the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. And I can see how possibly we could see Eddie and Adrian in that series. But we will see. Up next is The Good Girl by Mary Kubica. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. I have yet to do a book review on this title yet, but it was just amazing. It was just the twist at the end, the pacing, the story, the plot in general. It was just like a kidnapping of this woman who, you know, her parents are very powerful people, or her father is, you know, a very powerful person. We get to see the story from her point of view a little bit. We get to see the story from her mother's point of view, the detective's point of view, and it comes together. It's like we get to trace this kidnapping from beginning to end, and we uncover some unlikely things. And I definitely recommend this book. It was really good. Fans of Gone Girl will like this book. Up next is Big Little Lies by Moriarty. I loved this book. I've read other books by this author, and she is just a great writer. Big Little Lies was just, you know, I could not say enough about how Moriarty was able to combine the lives of so many different people and have it sync together and gel together perfectly. And you see how everyone kind of just, while they're all separate, they all have their separate lives, their separate stories. They entwine in such a way that it's just madness, and in a good way. The things that are going on in this book are crazy. I mean, you want to root for the characters, scream at the characters, just the whole nine. And I definitely recommend this book. I also enjoyed The Sea of Tranquility by Katja Millay. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. I apologize if it's wrong, but this was a really heartwarming, like, touchy-feely story. It's like young adult slash borderline new adult, and it's really sad. I think it's kind of labeled a romance on some level, but it's about two teens, one whose father and mother and family keep dying, and the other who she experienced a really tough time when she was a teenager. A horrific event happens to her, and it really changes her personality. It changes how she acts, how she dresses, who she calls herself, what she calls herself. She has, like, it affects everything. And these two find each other, and they help each other, and they kind of heal each other in a way. But their story is not one that is quote-unquote happy, but it's nice to read something that is a little more serious and something that dives a little bit deeper. So I definitely recommend this as well. I also recommend Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor. This is the third and final book in the trilogy, Daughter of Smoke and Bones, and I just really loved it. With a couple of other trilogies wrapping up this year, this was by far the best. I was a little disappointed with some others, but I felt totally happy and content with the end of this trilogy. And I like that feeling. I totally recommend it. It's very fantastical. There are dragons, and well, not dragons, but gods, literally, monsters, literally, angels, literally. It's the whole gambit of things going on in this book. You just travel the world with this book, and you travel to other worlds in this book. And all three books were excellent. I definitely recommend this for those that love young adult dystopian novels. Also, I recommend 10 Teeny Breaths, which is the first book in the 10 Teeny Breaths series by K.A. Tucker. Now, these books are all kind of an accompaniment to each other. They don't follow in like a normal progression. Like the first book focuses on two characters, and the following books focus on different characters from this first book. Some of it kind of overlaps, but it was really interesting. I don't know if I would rate the other books in this series as highly as the first one, but the first one was just memorable to me. I just really enjoyed it, and yeah, there's not much else I can say. It's lighthearted. It's a little romantic. It's new adult, you know, typical new adult, but it was just well written. It was good. I totally recommend this book. Now for my worst books. I don't have as many, thankfully, as I had for the best books, but I have a few. Up first, The Awakening by L.J. Smith. This was the first book in the Vampire Diaries series. I did not like it. I didn't hate it. I just didn't like it. It might have been that I was influenced by the television show, so when I read the book, I just saw too many discrepancies, too many things that just rubbed me the wrong way. Regardless, it was slow. I didn't really like the characters. I just, no, just don't. Just stick with the TV show, you guys. If you've read the TV show, don't bother with this book. Moving on, I also have on my worst list is Frozen, which is the first book in the Heart of Dread series by Melissa De La Cruz and Michael Johnston. This book, I gotta be honest, you guys, I really wanted to love this book. I wanted to love it, but I did not. I didn't. It was slow to me. The pacing was slow. The story was kind of here and there, jumping all over the place. It's just not my cup of tea. Not at all. Yeah, I was a little disappointed by that. Also on my worst list is Unbreakable by Cami Garcia. It's the first book in the Legion series. I don't know if it's a series or a trilogy, but this was another one that was just like the pacing was just god awful. And I mean, it was so slow. And I mean, none of these characters, I just didn't feel for any of them. I didn't relate to any of them. It was, you know, meh at best. Up next on the worst list is A Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I am not sure if this is a trilogy or series, but this is another one of those books that I really wanted to like. The idea of like being able to have like supernatural powers and like a little bit of vampire-ish things going on. I mean, there were just so many elements that I saw as a possible just really good book, but it just didn't pan out for me. It was kind of slow. It was kind of boring. I didn't feel emotionally vested in not one character from this book. So it was a waste for me. But, you know, again, I didn't hate it. I wouldn't go that far to say I hated it, but I didn't like it either. Up next on my worst list is Cruel Beauty, which is the first book in the Cruel Beauty universe by Rosamund Hodge. This book, you guys, I was just really disappointed. It just didn't, this was a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and it just really missed the mark for me. I didn't find anything attractive about the Beast, and when you find out, like, what the backstory is, it was kind of like, yeah, I don't buy it. I don't know. The whole book didn't really just vibe with me at all. So that was a miss. Up next on my worst list is Dear Daughter by Elizabeth Little. This book was another title that was compared to Gone Girl. I beg to differ. I don't see any correlation between Gone Girl and this book. This book was much slower paced, and it was kind of like a thriller, sort of, but much drier and drawn out, and yeah, it just wasn't my cup of tea. Also, up on the worst list is This Is How You Lose Her by Junot Diaz. I do feel like some people really enjoyed this book. I might be in the minority that didn't enjoy it, but it was just, you know, very stereotypical. It was very a lot of cursing. It was just a lot of, I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way. Not that, you know, again, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate any of these books, but none of them that I'm mentioning on my worst list just grabbed me in any way. So, you know, it was okay. I made it through all. By the way, all of these books were finished. None of them were on the DNF, but I do have an honorable mention that was a DNF, and I don't want to upset anyone, but this title, I tried and I tried and I tried. I picked this up to read it a long time ago, and I could get through only 50 pages. And then I put it down, and then I picked it up again this year because I knew it was going to be made into a movie, so I wanted to attempt to get through it again. I picked it up on audio, and again, I could not do it. I could not. This was The Maze Runner by James Dashner. I know I'm in the minority with this, but you guys, this book just bored me to death. This was the only book I DNF'd this whole calendar year, was The Maze Runner. And that says a lot, you guys. I don't DNF things very easily or very often, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So that's it, you guys. Those are my best and worst books of this year. Thank you so much for watching. If you have your own best or worst books of this year, please feel free to share them with me. I would love to know what you really enjoyed and what I should stay away from. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, I will see you in my next video, and happy reading. Bye, guys.